Hey, you awesome folks! Thanks for taking this journey of discovery with your guide, Keith Haney. You're listening to the Becoming Bridge Builders podcast, your favorite podcast for everything from racial reconciliation to education innovation, justice reform, and leading change in the 21st century. This podcast is for people who love to be challenged with difficult topics, but want practical solutions to solve these challenging issues. Becoming Bridge Builders makes change possible. Each week on the podcast, Keith invites innovative thought leaders to share how they are building bridges in their area of expertise. You will hear breakthrough ideas and concepts that are changing the world. He's featuring guests who are best-selling authors, leaders at Microsoft, entrepreneurs, leading educators, professors, lawyers, and so many more. Listen in to learn how you can be the bridge to the change you are seeking.
My guest today is Peter Schroeder. Peter's an accomplished DJ, entrepreneur, and technical pioneer. With over 20 platinum records, 40 gold records, and a triple nomination for the prestigious Danish DJ Award, Peter is one of Denmark's top DJs, entertaining audiences 180,000. He was a feature radio host by age 12 and appeared on talk shows and TV shows across Denmark. In addition to his musical career, Peter has over 20 years of experience creating cutting-edge technologies for companies such as Facebook, Samsung, and Airbnb. He's a true innovator. He works closely with businesses to address mission-critical telecommunications, enabling them to quickly implement, manage, and expand for success. Peter's latest endeavor, Telzo, is a pre-unicorn unified communications company he founded. He is developing game-changing technology and products that simplify and streamline repetitive tasks. Through his career, Peter has survived a plane crash and the birth of twins. We welcome him to the podcast. Well, it's so good to have Peter on the show. How are you doing today, Peter?
I'm doing great. A little stressed. We had some technical issues here in the beginning, but trying to calm down. Things are good. How are you?
I'm good. I know that feeling when you're like, you think you got everything set and then it just doesn't work out like you hoped.
Exactly. And it's typical because you should almost expect it not to work, right?
You should.
And I was thinking, I was trying to go in early to make sure that things work, but then kids and all that stuff, right? But I'm here.
I'm good you're here. Glad you're here. I love to ask my guests a question, kind of get a chance to know you better. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Be still. Will Henschel, a good friend of mine, always uses that, and I really love it. It's like before you react, before you reply to an email, before you rage over something, just be still and take it in, and then it's such a good advice.
That would have saved me so much trouble on some emails that I sent out. It's like I should have sat on that for a while. But when I said it was, to be fair, you could always unsend the email. I used to love that feature that you can't do anymore. If they hadn't read it, you could go back in and delete it.
Well, so I think Microsoft just implemented it again in Outlook recently. But what they do is they just delay the actual send.
Okay.
So which is kind of annoying because if there's something you really need to reply to right now,
right? But it's like if it's angry, maybe they should tell me that don't send this. To sit on it, be still for a while.
That's a good idea. Use some AI for that.
Right. No one gets where they are without people in their life who've served to be an inspiration or a mentor. Who are some people in your life you want to say thank you to because they were so important to you in your journey?
I mean, there's a lot. Actually, Will, that I just mentioned, is really good. He's just good at making you reflect over certain things. And then I would actually say my old booking agent, Christina, she's saved my ass a couple of times, like really on different things, like on pivotal moments in my life where she's pulled me aside and said, hey, let's fix this. So I really, really want to thank her.
That's great. I love that because we do need those people like the email thing who say, maybe not, don't do that.
Yeah. And the thing is, I've actually thought about this whole mentor thing a lot because I never had a real mentor. And I think it's something that's really important to people, and you tend to underestimate how important it is. I wish I had someone in my corner that kind of, gave me all the little insider tips, all the things people don't tell you, the things you don't learn in school, that you only learn by really, listening to podcasts like this, right. or having someone in your side that just wants to help you without, necessarily getting a lot from it. And it's something that I really wish I had. I've seen some of my friends have it and how much it accelerates their progression in whatever they're working with, right? So I think it's underestimated how important having a mentor is.
Yeah, it is true. I had some really important people in my life who've kind of come alongside, and during those really rough times, they've been there, and I get a chance to be there for them in those bad times for them. So it's kind of a nice reciprocal relationship that we have. So those people are very special.
Very important, yeah.
So I read your bio, and it was a very impressive bio. So I'm curious to tell us your personal story. Tell us about your journey.
Where do you want to start? 3 years old. I started out early, and I've always just done a lot of things. I always told that I've lived many lives, and I feel like I have. I've just done so many different things, but at the same time, it's always been one thing leading to the other, and I'm just kind of going with it. Things just kind of happen, and I'm just like, okay, let's do it. And I started early by doing like radio reporting for national radio in Denmark, where I grew up. And that led me to do the same thing on national TV. And eventually I was on a talk show, 8 p.m. Saturday night on the main channel. That was just like getting started. Then I was 14, I started my first website, which then grew to be the biggest social media before there was social media for artists in Scandinavia. And I sold that when I was 18, when I wanted to DJ. Then I founded a band, which had great success in Germany and on tour and stuff. And eventually I started the record label, and then I became a DJ and musician and started making stuff for other people, and eventually burned out and started a phone company instead. So, yeah.
So what was the name of your band? I'm curious.
I Can. Really, comes from why not? We can. Of course we can. I can, right? AYCAN. It was back in 2004 or 3 or 4-ish.
Wow, that's so neat. And I saw you had over 20 platinum records and 40 gold records. That's an impressive resume.
It's been piling up over the years, I guess. I had my band there, and we eventually, because I saw what the record label was doing for us, I said, well, I can do that. So I founded a label and started signing, of course, our band, but also my friends and their other artists that I knew I could do the same thing for. And that's actually when I kind of ran into my first, I say, pivotal moment where Christina, my old agent, she pulled me aside because I basically said yes to way too much. I piled as much on my plate as I could, and I started, not following through, and that's worse than saying no to people, burnt bridges and stuff like that. And eventually it was just way too much for me, and she saw that and pulled me aside and said, hey, let's figure out what's going on. She helped me sell my label and basically take a little break and reset.
That's great. You didn't mention the plane crash in your story.
Yeah, well, so the funny thing about that is that came up during a dinner conversation recently, a couple of years ago maybe, where I'm like, I don't know how we got into that topic, but oh yeah, I was in that plane crash. That just I had totally forgotten about it, and I should probably talk to some professional about that. But in 2010, I think, 10, I was in a commuter turboprop plane from Copenhagen to Aalborg, going up to see my mom. And on the way there, or about to prepare for landing, they found out they couldn't land or lock the landing gear in place, or at least they couldn't get the little lamp to light up that it was locked. So we ended up circling around for a couple of hours to burn all the fuel. It couldn't dump it because the plane, I guess, was too small or something, and prepare for an emergency eventually, perhaps an emergency. The thing was, we saw on the news a week before that the exact same model had the same issue.
Oh no!
They did an emergency landing, but nothing happened. So we were not scared or anything, because we were like, well, that's just a technical issue with this model, so nothing's going to happen. So it was actually not. There was no panic or anything like that. the crew was really nice and really professional about it. But what did happen was that the landing gear didn't lock, and it actually failed, and it crashed on the side, and the propeller went through the fuselage, and it was a big mess. But no one really got hurt. I think one lady broke her arm, and that was it. So luckily, everyone got out with their lives.
So you don't still fly that same brand plane, I take it?
I haven't flown the Dash 8 since then, and I'm not going to fly that one again.
Right.
But I'm not afraid of flying besides that.
Yeah, great lesson we learned about things in the past.
Exactly.
So on your journey, I'm always curious too, we learn a lot of lessons. So in all your different careers, what was some of the lessons that you learned that have stuck with you and all the things you've done since then?
I feel like I'm learning lessons every day. There's just so many things happening all the time. I think one of the main ones is really about how to handle things I'm not good at. Because I found out also a couple of years ago that I have ADD, and that wasn't a thing when I was a kid. That was, ADHD. That's the kids that run backwards up the wall and can't sit still. I'm not like that. I'm calm and so on. But I have a hard time focusing on things I'm not interested in. And over the years, I've learned how to tackle that myself and kind of figure out how to deal with it. But of course, having that diagnosis and having a word on it and actually knowing that it's not just me being lazy or whatever someone called it when I was a kid. That's really important, because then I can start hiring people to do the things that I'm not interested in and not good at. And then I can focus my energy on the things I'm really good at. And, the thing is with ADD is you get hyper-focused on certain things, so you can get really, really good. You go to the end of the rabbit hole and then you start digging to go further, right? So that is a power in itself that I can do that, but I can only do that if I have people around me that can do the other things.
That's good. I love that. Knowing what our limitations are, what our strengths are, and then, like you do, surround yourself with people who can do the things that you don't do is really a lesson we could all learn. I mean, there's just things we just don't like to do. And unfortunately, sometimes those things just don't get done. And if it's a company we're a part of, that's where the company falls apart or laxes in those areas that really need to be there.
Exactly. And super, super important that you have that self-awareness, I would almost call it, because obviously not everyone have a diagnosis for it, but everyone has certain things that they're good at and not good at. And everyone should, have the self-awareness to understand what those things are. And that's really when you can start accelerating your growth as a person and also as a company. Right.
Because I love thinking big visions, but I hate the details to get to the vision.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So I make sure I have people around me who are detail-oriented people.
Yeah, and it's so important, because then those people are not the vision thinkers. Like they're not the ones that are good at those things, but they have you, right? So everything accompanies. It's important.
Yeah, I'm always curious for people like yourself who've been successful. What drives you every day? What's your why?
The why is really that I'm able to go to work and do things I'm interested in and I have fun with doing. That is the main thing. It's not making $1 billion business. It's not that is fun and that's great and it's part of what I'm doing, and I have to do it as well for our employees and everyone who believes in us and so on. But for me personally, it's really just to be able to play around with things. Like for example, this studio that I built here for creating content. That's fun to me to do, and I love that I'm able to do that, and I can go play with it.
That's great. I love your studio, by the way. Those who watch the video, you got to tune into the video to see the cool studio he's got there.
Yeah.
A lot of people, a lot of my listeners are either entrepreneurs or they're thinking about that. If you're speaking to young entrepreneurs, what are the biggest challenges you think they have to overcome or should be aware of as they become on the road to success?
I think something that to be aware of is you don't have to go raise $200 million and you don't have to have a 100-person company to build that thing. That is something we all hear over and over. You only hear about these stories about people who start a tech company and then they go raise $200 million and hire 500 people and then they made $3 billion and that's a success, right? That's not necessarily a success. that's not the only success. Let me say it like that. It's really rare that you, for the first, do that. Like the people that are able to do those things are so few. But that's also not the only way to build a company. When we started out with ours, we didn't have any money, so we cashed in my wife's 401k. That was, I think, $16,000. That was all we had to start. We tried to raise some money, and back then we weren't married, so yeah, who's gonna go invest in a couple who's just been dating for a year or so, and so that's not gonna happen. So the only way we could really do it, and well, another thing was that it was a phone company we're building. We're gonna go up against AT&T and T-Mobile, those kind of companies, right? That's just crazy in itself, and do it with $16,000? No. But we had to kind of figure out what to do to make this work, because we knew that the idea was good and we could do the math and we could make some money. The thing is, you don't have to necessarily become the world leader from day one. You don't have to set the goal that you have to beat AT&T. If you do that, then you're probably not going to do it. That's directly recipe for failure. But if you say, well, I can build a product that can get some customers, that's a good start, because if you can get some customers, then you can pay for another employee and then eventually another one, and you can start growing. And it's like a train, slowly getting up to speed. It's taken us 10 years to where we are today. So yeah, it's not the overnight one, but we are having success. We have a solid business. We own 100% of it, so we can do whatever we want. There's no VC breathing down our necks and telling us what to do. So to me, that's success. And that's something you don't hear about. You only hear about those, Silicon Valley backed ones.
I love that. The thing I kind of wonder too, for people who are thinking about becoming entrepreneurs or have that entrepreneurial spirit, what do you think is a major thing that holds people back from taking the leap and doing it? Is it that they're not sure their idea is good, their product is good, or they lack the confidence to do it?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
And now a word from one of our sponsors, For Freedom Mobile. If you're using AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile, then you're being tracked. Mobile providers collect your location, communications, internet activity, even your financial transaction. They sell that data to anyone willing to pay for it and provide it to the government without a warrant. Switch to For Freedom Mobile, and you won't ever have to worry about big tech or Big Brother tracking you through your mobile phone again. For Freedom Mobile provides secure, unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data for just $29.99 a month, and it includes free internet roaming in over 200 countries. Sign up for the service by visiting forfreedommobile.com and using the promo code BRIDGEBUILDERS to get your first month for only $9.99. See forfreedommobile.com for details, just like the number 4, freedommobile.com.
I think it's all of it. And I think I'm often asked this question, what are like the top 3 things you would tell someone? And I think one of the ones I usually always mention is naivety and stubbornness. Those are the 2 main traits I have myself. Is you got to be a little naive. You got to believe that your idea is good. You got to believe that you can have success with it. And you got to, really don't care about all the what ifs. It's like if you go into a car dealership and you want to buy a car, they're not going to tell you about you can get in a crash or you could run out of gas or the wheel could fall off. No, they're going to tell you about all the good things. So do the same thing to yourself when you start a business. Tell you all the good things, and then all the what ifs, put them aside a little bit. You got to be realistic, obviously, but put them to the side and let the other ones take over. Be a little naive, because that's when you get kind of that motivation to get going. You're like, oh, what if I could do this? And what if we had success with that? Then, oh, that could be great. And then keep that in your mind and use that as the little carrot in front of you. And then, sorry, go ahead.
No, I like that. I was going to ask you, that's really helpful, because if you get beyond just getting it established and you start thinking too far down the road, you will scare yourself. It's like those you in the plane. If you start thinking about all the things that could go wrong when you get on a plane, you're never going to get on a plane.
Right, exactly. And you know what? Like, just think about what is the success next month? What are we trying to do right now? And what if we can accomplish this by July? That would be great. And let's try and do that instead of what if we can get $1 billion by 2 years from now. don't think about that. That's not realistic. Well, maybe it is, and that would be great, but don't set that as your goal. Set the little small stepping stones, and then be stubborn. If someone tells you no, like all the VCs did to us, just be stubborn. Just like, well, I'm gonna show you that I can do this. Just make that your fuel. I'll show you. I think that's important.
I'm curious how you went from the music industry to the tech industry. What in your mind said, this is a great next step? Because those two don't seem to really kind of fit together. So kind of walk me through what your thinking was. Did you see an opportunity where said, okay, I see an opening in this industry? Or was it just something, just kind of walk me through how you got to that point?
Well, so I've always been a nerd, and I got my first computer when I was 6. I started coding when I was 6. I was not interested in video games. I was interested in finding out how the video games were made. And those kind of things. So I've always, I started my first website when I was 14. So I'm very nerdy, and also the music industry. Making electronic music, which was what I did, it's all about sitting in front of a computer. I was writing my own plugins and these kind of things. And when I had my label, I wrote my own software to manage the releases and those kind of things. So I've always been very nerdy in that sense. And then the reason why I really started this phone company was because I was working on another project. I had taken a little break from playing DJ gigs. I burned out. I played 380 gigs in 1 year. And I said, okay, I actually told Christina again, I need a break. I need to get new ideas for new music. I need to just chill for a minute. And while I was doing that, I was kind of just tinkering with a platform for promoting music online. And that needed a phone hotline kind of thing, we'll call in and get support. And I couldn't find anything I could afford. I couldn't find any out-of-the-box solution that was easy to manage. So I'll code it myself. And I got hooked. All of a sudden, I'd worked on that for 3 months. And I was like, I totally forgot about music. I totally forgot about everything else. I was this is so much fun to work with. And I figured, well, then maybe this is what I should be working with if it's taking up all my time. So I talked to my back then girlfriend, now wife, Dana, and she was like, yeah, let's try and put it out. She had some business experience, and she lived in America. I was in Denmark. So I was, okay, I'll move over and we can launch it here. And all of a sudden, we've been working on it for 10 years.
Wow. So what makes your company unique?
Well, so I think really it's about us seeing it more as a opportunity to make a cool product rather than an opportunity to make a lot of money. The money is secondary for us. Obviously, we want to do well and we want to pay our employees well and all that stuff. But for us, it's really, we want to make something that really works for people and that helps people in their daily lives. So we are really focused on having something that's just out of the box, works and easy to use. And then on the payment side, we have a completely different billing model. We don't charge a fee per user like all our competitors. We just charge for the minutes you call, and that means that it scales really well. A business with 2 employees can pay because they will call less than a business with 5,000 employees. So everyone gets the same features. It's that solidarity thing, like everyone gets the same features. Everyone has the same playing ground from day one. So even if you're a startup, you'll have the same opportunity to make it as an enterprise. You don't have to pay enterprise plan that you can't afford to get, those benefits. Like, why should they have all the good things? It should be the other way around, right? It should be equal.
I love that. So tell us the name of your company for those who are interested, because it sounds interesting.
Yeah, Telzo, Telz as in zebra, I-O, Telzo.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So to be an entrepreneur, there are some leadership skills needed. As if you're thinking advice for entrepreneurs, what do you say is important leadership-wise to lead a company and lead an organization?
So I think an important thing is to understand that leadership and management is not the same. I'm a terrible manager. I know I'm not good at following up with people to make sure that they do their job. I'm not good at telling people what to do. I really hate doing that. So having that understanding that you don't necessarily have to be a good manager to be a good leader. I have now people around me that are good managers that can do all those things. So I don't have to. But being a good leader is really about having a vision for something and then getting your team excited about that vision and, be in on it together and make sure that we kind of all are excited to go to work every day and accomplish that thing. That's a good leader to me.
So if you had one message to give to young budding business people today, what would that be?
Well, I would actually say try and make sure that you, and it kind of goes back to the same as we were talking about before, but try and make sure that you have both things. Have that leader person in your team, on your team, and if you're not a good manager, have someone who's good at making sure people do their job, and then find the right people. Because I'm not a good manager, what I've done is I've hired people that don't need a manager. So at least all the first maybe 10 employees are just really, really smart people that I pay way over average on the job market, so that they, for one, don't leave, don't get poached by on competitors, but also that are really smart people that can just go do things, and that they basically pull it out of my brain without saying it. They have some kind of skill to understand what it is that I mean when I'm saying something completely weird that no one else would understand.
I love that. So what are you excited about in this season of your life or your business?
The what, sorry?
What are you most excited about in this season?
Oh, this season. Well, right now, there's just so many things going on with AI. We are launching a bunch of products that we've been working on since 2017. We registered AIattendant.com back then, so it's no surprise to us what's happening at the moment. We've been preparing for it, so that's exciting. And then there's just a lot of things going on with other channels than just phone service. I don't think phone service is going to be that significant in 5 years from now. We're kind of branching out and making sure that we kind of support all kinds of platforms and communications platforms, and so that our customers don't necessarily have to worry so much about what their customers are contacting them. We are like, everyone has their preferred way of communicating, and you as a business need to make sure that you kind of are available in those channels, and whether that being a tweet or it's a phone call or an email or a letter or something else. It could be anything. You just have to be there when your customers are wanting to get in touch with you.
I hear a lot of people who are excited about AI, a lot of people who are really nervous about it. So somebody who's working in that sphere, what do you have in terms of advice for those who are kind of going, I'm a little nervous about this AI thing?
I understand why they're nervous. I have little kids, and I cannot predict how the world is going to be when they grow up, but it's not going to be what it is today. That's for sure. That's the only thing I can say. But you can't change it. You can't uninvent it. So that's important to understand. No matter what you try and do, you can be stubborn. You can sit down and say, no, I don't want to. But that doesn't change the world. The world is not going to uninvent AI. It's just going to be more and more from now on. So you get past that thinking and just start understanding what it is and how you can use it in your business. It's kind of like the what do you call them, saddle makers back in the days in the 1900s, right? That made saddles, and that's a solid job because there's always going to be a need for saddles. People need to transport things, and that's by horse. But someone invented the car, and all of a sudden they didn't have a job.
Right.
Other than that, they started rebranding into making upholstery, and they did really well, the ones that did that. But the ones that kept making saddles, they didn't have anything. So get past that thinking of it's unfair that AI is taking my job. AI is probably not going to take your job. It's just going to be a different job you're going to have. And you need to understand that. You need to get that in your head and just go with it, because you're not going to be able to change it.
Interesting. I love to ask my guests this question. What do you want your legacy to be?
I'm just happy if someone thinks at me and thinks I'm happy that I met that person. That's all I can ask for. If someone who met me and it just I'm happy that I met that guy. That's all I can ask for.
I like that. Is there anything I haven't asked you that I should have asked you?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I'm usually not that good at promoting myself. I'm terrible at that.
Well, in that regards, where can people find you? and connect with you on social media.
Yeah. So I do have a website now. I actually just launched it yesterday. So finally, peterschroeder.com. You can go get in touch with me. There's all my social media links in there, and I'm available pretty much on all platforms. And I love when people reach out and ask me anything. So please do. peterschroeder.com. And then, of course, Telzo, if you want to try out a business phone service for, there's a free trial, and we have amazing conversion when people sign up for that free trial. So please go and do that. I'm sure you'll like it.
Where can they find your music? Because, if you've got as many Grammy Awards and things as you have, we really want to hear that. I love techno music, so where can we find your music?
Oh, okay. Well, it's so there's some on Spotify and YouTube, obviously. If you go search for Pete Fox, that was my last DJ alias I've had through time, and that's some of the most recent stuff, even though it's not that new anymore. But I also produced for so many other artists through time, so I think Discogs is probably a good way to go look me up and see what I've done. There's links to all of the different projects I've been involved in.
Well, Peter, it was so good to have you on, and you're such an interesting person, and I love what you're doing and the space that you're in right now, and the fact that you have poured into my listeners and given them some good practical advice about being an entrepreneur, being a leader, taking chances, being smart about it. But I just love your spirit, that you are willing to put yourself out there and see where it goes, but you're not afraid to try.
Yeah, you just gotta go with it. That's really it. Don't hold back.
Don't hold back. Well, thank you so much, Peter, for being on.
Thank you so much for having me. That was fun.
Thanks for listening to Becoming Bridge Builder. If you enjoyed this episode and want to help support the podcast, please subscribe and share it with others. Post about it on social media or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram @bkeithhaney and on Getter and Twitter @RevHeadpin or on his website at alightbreaksthrough.org. Thanks again, and tune in next time.
Do you know that most entrepreneurs hit a revenue ceiling and have no idea why? They're working harder, spending more money, running more ads, but revenue stays flat. My friend Dr. Noah St. John calls this the invisible break. He's giving our listeners a free revenue ceiling audit to help you see what's really holding you back. You'll get a free 30-day membership to NoahBot, giving you access to Dr. Noah's 30 years of experience to help you reach your next level. But hurry, because there's only 50 available this month. So if you're tired of being stuck at the same revenue level and want to finally break through, get your free revenue ceiling audit at drnoahvault.com in the affiliate link that'll be listed in the show notes.
Thanks for listening to Becoming Bridge Builder. If you enjoyed this episode and want to help support the podcast, please subscribe and share it with others. Post about it on social media or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram @bkeithhaney and on Getter and Twitter @RevHeadpin. Thanks again, and tune in next time.